One of the things that worried me before seeing La La Land was that whenever you get a film which people love as much as people do, and you hear good things about it, you're always alarmed that you're going to go in and it's going to be a disappointment. And this is one of the problems of being a critic. You know, if you see a film and it's really great, you say to everyone it's really, really great, and then they go in with high expectations. And because ever since the film had played at Venice, it's been getting these reports of people saying, you know, it's terrific, it's wonderful, it's marvelous. You know, it's bringing back the musical back to life. Although, of course, the musical's never gone away, clearly, demonstrably, never gone away. And so I sat down to La La Land with a certain degree of trepidation. And then the opening sequence with the song that you talked about there on the freeway during the traffic jam, in which, you know, the camera swoops and swirls, and it appears to be done in a single shot. And it's basically this introduction to the whole landscape in which the thing is going to play out. 4 minutes in, I was won over for a number of reasons. Firstly, because I thought the whole thing was breathtakingly choreographed, not just the dancing, but actually the way in which the camera worked. Secondly, the story has, I mean, obviously it refers back to classic old Hollywood musicals, but also to the work of Jacques Demy, and, you know, you see on Brothers of Cherbourg, and, along with Singing in the Rain. There's a lot of Singing in the Rain there. There are very, very heavy allusions to Casablanca, and all those things are all there. But what Damien Chazelle, who's 5 years old as far as I can tell, is he 5? He's 31. I mean, it's just, it's just...
It's his third movie.
I know, it just makes me want to sit in a corner and weep, frankly. What he said he wanted to do was to have something which had the magic of musicals, but also had the texture and the grit of real life. And I think he's managed to do that. I think, oddly enough, the film occupies that sort of strange space between the sort of throwback creakiness of Woody Allen's Everyone Says I Love You and the extraordinary sort of futuristic fluidity of Gravity. I mean, actually, not least in the Griffith Observatory sequence, which is literally defying gravity. It's two central characters, one of whom is an aspiring actress, the other of whom is a diehard jazz muso who absolutely believes in the proper form of jazz and is devoted to his cause. These are characters that to some extent you've seen before, but what the film does is it plays with your expectations of them. And, he learns from her about following your dream, and she learns from him about the jazz which she didn't know about. And together, they have their own individual dreams. City of Stars, Are You Shining Just For Me? They sing together until compromise comes calling. And this is interesting because obviously one of the things about Whiplash is very much a film about compromise. There's that thing, isn't it, about there's no worse two words than good job. Good job. That's not enough. You have to be better than good job. And because J.K. Simmons that makes an appearance. And what I liked, therefore, was firstly, let's look at the performances. Emma Stone is terrific. There is a scene in the film in which Emma Stone goes to do an audition. We see her at the beginning in that traffic jam practicing the lines for the audition. And then she goes to the audition. And the whole thing is about how brutal auditions are. But she does this thing in which she's reading lines it's a soliloquy that you've seen her reading in the car. And it's a Brando-esque masterclass in acting. I mean, it's literally a single shot.
But she still doesn't get the gig.
Well, that's the gag. That's not instantly a plot spoiler. This is all in the first 10, 15 minutes of the film. But the point is that she's brilliant. I mean, it's just one of the finest bits of acting I have ever seen. Meanwhile, Ryan Gosling, who, let us not forget, has hoofed in the past and was a child star and all that sort of stuff. What he does is he brings to it that kind of taciturn, dour thing that means that when they do that sequence that they're talking about up on the hill, what a waste of a night. I'd never fall for you, you'd never fall for me. You kind of believe.
That's where the poster shot comes from.
Yeah, you believe them. And it was funny because she's talking about, we shot it at Magic Hour, and she said people think it's a green screen. And people think that because of artificial moonlight, because of the lamps, the street lamps that you get in LA that are referred to as producing artificial moonlight, that kind of strange glow that you get. And I thought in terms of its literacy, the way in which it understood the history of musicals and loved musicals, I thought it was absolutely sumptuous and delightful to watch. I loved the explosions of color. I loved the fact that it was unashamedly a film celebrating those traditions, but also wanted to take its characters seriously. So you seriously believe in the characters. So although you're seeing riffs from, as I said before, Singing in the Rain, you're seeing them to a certain extent with the dirt under their heels. And when they dance, she takes her shoes off because she's been walking in heels. That refers to the Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers saying, everything Fred Astaire did, I did backwards and in heels. Not in this particular case. And, some people have said, well, the point is they're not the greatest dancers, but they're not meant to be the greatest dancers in the world. And I think what the choreography does, which is lovely, is it takes them just far enough. It pushes them just far enough because they're meant to be real people. And the film brilliantly sort of talks about the divide between what we expect of the world because of what we've seen of it in the cinema and what the world is really like. It also has a very, very audacious narrative structure. There are elements in it that reminded me of riffs from New York, New York, Martin Scorsese's musical, which is still sort of seriously underrated. There are moments of real intimacy in terms of fantasy. I mean, one of the things that musicals do is that they can give physical expression to inner thoughts, to intimate inner thoughts. And I think that the film manages to do that really terrifically. I liked the songs. I liked the lyrics. I liked the cheekiness of it. I liked the fact that it was a film that wasn't afraid to be melancholy, wasn't afraid to be bittersweet, didn't bottle out of its commitments to seeing its characters through. And I came out at the end of it thinking, I just want to go straight back in and watch that again. And as I said, the greatest challenge, I think, for it was when everyone's been this vociferously positive about it, it's a hard job to live up to that. And it won me over. I think it's really good.